In the name of the Creator, the Redeemer, and the Sanctifier. Amen. So I have come to, it's not quite a profound realization, but it's a half-decent one. And it's this. Most of us, if pressed, know a fair amount about something. Usually it's just one thing in particular, but that one thing, we know a lot about it. Now, it won't come as a surprise to you, but I have developed a broad knowledge base of a certain television show. I can tell you how many seasons it had, 7. I can do a fair bit of research about each character. I can tell you those that left, those that stayed. I can discuss the various themes they covered with what I think was particular finesse. I can tell you what plot lines they continued throughout all 7 seasons, the best one-liners and quips, even some of the behind-the-scenes drama. And all this is well and good, as far as it goes. But at some point, I didn't just know a lot about this show. I came to value its wisdom and to really appreciate its comedic genius, even from quite an early age. I didn't just know stuff about it. I came to believe in it, to believe in its artistry and wisdom and sheer cleverness. It moved from something in my mind to something in my heart. And that got me curious. What's the one thing you know a lot about? How many of you have a particular sports team that you know all the stats for? Maybe you are a connoisseur of a certain movie director and can list their movies in order of appearance and importance. Maybe you love cars and you go to car shows every chance you get, can talk about the makes and the models and the engines to your heart's delight. Maybe there is a particular author you like, and you have all their books. For example, I once told a friend that I had never read a Stephen King book in my life. And the look on her face was as if I had poisoned the well water of a small town. Now, maybe some of you like the outdoors, to hike or whatever people do outside. And you take every chance you can to simply enjoy nature. Maybe you have an avocation as a musician and practice or compose to your heart's content and can talk about that creative process with sheer delight. Again, I don't necessarily know what that one thing is in your life, but my guess is that at least 90% of you have that one thing. And if gently pressed, could go on for hours talking about it. There's a point when a subject we know a lot about becomes something we come to care a lot about. That, I think, is the difference between knowledge and belief. Belief needs knowledge. Knowledge is, I think, the first step to coming to believe. But knowledge doesn't necessarily need belief, if I can say it that way. There's lots of things we can come to know about, say the subprime mortgage interest rate, but which, at least I hope, doesn't become something we believe in, something we give our heart and trust to. And this is a crucial thing to remember in our spiritual lives. You see, in today's gospel passage, the disciples are still getting to know Jesus. They're figuring out his personality, his way of thinking, how he interacts with people. They've not yet seen him do anything in public, something that would draw attention to himself. And so they are still at the knowledge phase. They haven't yet decided what they believe about him. And then they're at a wedding in Cana of Galilee. Not only them, but Jesus' mother, who goes strangely nameless in this passage, whereas his stepfather Joseph is not even mentioned. Had he already died by this time in Jesus' life? Who knows? Nonetheless, a major situation arises. Lots of guests have come to a multi-day party, and there is nothing to drink. Maybe the mother of Jesus knows the host and is embarrassed for him. And as his mother, she doesn't just know Jesus, she believes in him, which means she can ask things of him that the disciples wouldn't even think of. In the Gospel of John, these things are designated as signs instead of miracles. And after Jesus is borderline sassy with his mother, she simply says to the servants present, "Do whatever he tells you. Do whatever he tells you." Yet another clue that the mother of Jesus didn't just know her son, but actually believed in him. And then we kind of know the rest of the story, how good the wine is, how odd it is to bring the best wine out last rather than first. We know that he saved this newly married couple from embarrassment at their own wedding. And then we are told something that at first seems unnoteworthy. Jesus did this, the first of his signs, in Cana of Galilee, and revealed his glory, and his disciples believed in him. His disciples believed in him. You see, Jesus' disciples knew him, but didn't yet believe in him. And as strange as it may sound, I think that is where many Christians, where many of us find ourselves. We know about Jesus, can share interesting facts about his life. Maybe we have a favorite parable or saying of his that we've memorized. But that movement from knowing about to actually believing in, well, maybe we haven't quite crossed that threshold. That threshold where the questions go a bit deeper and are decidedly more personal. Questions that might sound like this. I know Jesus was a human being, but was he fully divine? If I pray to Jesus, will he answer me? And how will I know it's him? What is Jesus asking me to do with my life and in my relationships this day? Which is really just leading me to my one question for you, and it's really a question for me as well. What is keeping you from not just knowing Jesus, but believing in him? Believing in him enough so that what he says matters above all else. So what he invites you to do becomes not secondary, but primary in your lives. That you come to see that he is a living reality in 2022 and not just 22 AD. You know, I went to church for many years, and I came to know a lot about Jesus, but I didn't quite believe in him. I didn't let my guard down enough for him to enter my life. I was a little bit guarded, a little bit scared, really. What if my life was no longer my own? You see, I wanted to control my life. And I knew if I started believing in Jesus, well, who knows? Who knows where that would lead me? Where he would lead me. You see, we're called to not just know things about Jesus, but to believe in Jesus. And if you don't already believe in Jesus, what's stopping you? And if you do, What's keeping you from going even deeper? Maybe asking your own version of the harder questions. I, for one, would be happy to listen. Amen.